Now, inclusivity is just one of the ways that we can be sure that AI is developing and being applied carefully in order to serve us. And carefully choosing how and where we apply it is critical to make sure that we focus and we're getting the best out of it. That's what we're going to be talking about now, how AI can be used for the greater good. Please welcome the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the CNRS, Antoine Petit, the General Manager of GSK, Thibault Desmarest, and Chief Operations Officer from Bayes Impact, Elodie, Juan-Julia. Come on up. Welcome. It's fantastic to have you here on stage at Change Now. Antoine Petit, you are the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer at the CNRS, which is one of the largest fundamental science organizations in Europe, if not the world, I believe. Elodie, welcome. Bayes Impact's mission is to use technology to tackle social issues at scale. Founded in 2014 in the US, was one of the first not-for-profits to go through the world-famous Y Combinator Accelerator program. Welcome, Elodie. And Thibault Desmarest from GSK. You've studied science, biology, and business in France and the US. GSK today is one of the 10th largest pharmaceutical companies, headquartered in the UK. Welcome to you all. What I have is we have three very different fields here. What I want to ask you all is, what is the most striking, transformative example of AI for positive societal change that you've witnessed in your field? Antoine.
Okay, I would say that it's AI itself. Because what is AI? AI is computer facilities, computer power, it's data, but it's also, and perhaps before all, human intelligence. And so AI is not an alien who arrived yesterday from Mars or I don't know where. AI is just a result of brains, human brains, who develop algorithms for years. 4 years. You have to know that the first algorithms of deep learning, everybody speaks of deep learning, the first algorithms of deep learning date from the late 80s. Which means more than 35 years ago. And so that's, for me, the most striking example of AI is AI itself. So never forget that AI is done by men and women. And if we want to work on frugal AI, on sustainable AI, we will need more human brains. And that really what brings science to AI. In fact, we build AI in some sense. And after that, of course, AI has been transferred to the whole society. But don't think that AI, once again, is an alien. We built AI, and so it's also our responsibility to decide what is the AI we will want in the years to come.
Thank you for bringing us back down to earth and recognizing that fact. It is quite amazing that we do have that here today. Elodie, how about yourself? The most striking positive impact you've witnessed?
Yes. Let's start by a number, 85%. Actually, that's the number of social workers reporting feeling burnt out in a recent study in the UK. Not because they are lacking of motivation, but because of the caseload and the fragmented information and the tools that don't work together. So at Bayes Impact, we recently developed an AI-powered case management tool to give superpowers to social workers and help them provide personalized care to their beneficiaries more effectively. Right now, we are running 5 pilots in France. Amongst them, we're running one with France Travail, another one with the liver transplantation service of Paul Bruce Hospital, and another one with e-Enfance. We're also running one in Japan with young people in a vulnerable situation, and another one in the US with the foster care professionals. Giving more time to the people for human interaction is what AI now is providing, and which is very impactful.
Definitely, anything that we can give, that we can do to give more human impact in that sector is vital. Thibault, how about yourself in the healthcare world?
So I've got the chance to work for a big pharma organization, and I can tell you without any doubt that AI is definitely a breakthrough in all the research and the discovery. You know, our job in the pharmaceutical industry is to innovate. It's bringing science, technology, and the talent of our researcher together to really get ahead of disease. And you know that developing a drug today, it's super complicated. It's about 10 to 15 years. It costs almost $1 billion, if it's no more. And in 90%, 9-0, we are failing. So no success. So AI here is really playing a very, very active role in terms of improving the productivity and the effectiveness of the research. And more than a long speech, no, let me give you two concrete examples. Number one is in the patient identification. So what we are doing at GSK in the cancer, where we still have a lot to do, it's developing what we call organoid. Organoid is a 3D tumor model, so it's virtual. And we can better understand how the cancer is working. And with the organoid, we take in a library of molecules, old molecule, new molecule, and we screen and we test them very, very quickly in the virtual world. And thanks to that, you can match, depending on the pathway and the mechanism of action, the right molecule. And on top of that, you can identify who should be the best patient for the best outcome. And as an example, in the endometrial cancer, which is a cancer where more than almost 8,000 women every year in France is impacted by this cancer, we've been able, after 20 years of no innovation, to find a treatment where we can target specific women with a very high percentage of efficacy. And AI also told us, you know what, there is the same type of profile for another cancer, rectum cancer, and we've got 100% efficacy in this cancer just by matching things with AI. So you see, it's very, very concrete, and it's striking, and it's giving me tons of hopes for new potential treatment coming soon.
So both in terms of reducing the amount of time, but increasing the precision that we have here. Now, I want to riff on a question that I just asked Anthony and Shani, actually, which is that when we're working forwards with AI, we're out there in the unknown as such, but you guys know what you're doing. You have roadmaps that you're working to. How do you make sure that both your AI roadmap leverages AI for good, whilst also taking into account and managing the impacts that are potential, the environmental impacts and social or healthcare impacts out there? Elodie, how are you doing this at Bayes Impact?
So actually, we co-designed Case AI with a case worker. We met a lot of case workers in different sectors, making sure that what we were creating was responding to a need. So every feature that we created are a response to a need expressed by case worker in the field of health, in the field of foster care or employment. Our tool, Case AI, is there to organize, summarize information, making suggestions, but it's never deciding. It's only making suggestions, and it's always the case worker which decide what the best option is. Also, we set some ethical boundaries because this is very important. We are not making automated scoring. There is no, it's not a black box, so everything that is provided can be verified and everything is transparent.
So that's how you're making sure out there. Thibault, how about yourself?
So for me, the impact of AI, no doubt, as I just mentioned, research, discovery, we know. But our mission at GSK is really to impact the life of 2.5 billion people in the world, which is massive. And we strongly believe that AI will help us to achieve our mission. But AI is not only for pharma in research and discovery. As you know, we are producing drugs, which is super complicated. And we are really leveraging AI to help us also to reach our very ambitious target in terms of climate, nature. We have a target of net zero by 2045. And just to give you also a concrete example, so in the manufacturing process, at the time where I'm talking right now, we've got 54 digital twins, so it's kind of digital production sites, fake production site, working on 12 products to really look at how to best optimize the development plan, how to simplify, how to make sure that the quality is the best quality, and that it's really a concrete application of AI. Another application is definitely on the transportation. We want to reduce our carbon footprint. So we are working with AI to find the best route for the product by decreasing also the carbon footprint. And the last example that I can share is we are doing with a global team some work on the reduction of water. You know that water, as we are discussing here, is really precious. And by leveraging AI in our production cycle, we've been able to reduce by 28% the consumption of water in the last couple of years. So it's very concrete examples having direct impact on the planet, direct impact on human, and direct impact on the health of people.
Okay, and if anyone can do anything for the direct impact of the glare on the stage right now.
I've got my sunglasses,
Yeah,
but I was
surely not
hesitating, should I go, yes or no? But anyway.
But we've been talking about research, and Antoine, you and I had a chat beforehand. And when I asked you about the roadmap, you said, hang on, research is risky out there. We don't necessarily have a roadmap. But I want to come to you with the same question and ask as such, what does the future of AI-developed research look like then, if you don't have this roadmap?
No, that's the principle of research. We never know what will happen. And even concerning AI, if you look back to 10 years ago, nobody imagined really the impact of generative AI. I think that for researchers, AI has to be considered as a tool, a fantastic tool, but as a tool, as telescope, microscope, lasers in other disciplines. And the difficulty is precisely to understand how we can use this tool the most efficiently as possible. And it requires to have skills. If you want to apply AI on a discipline Y, you need people who have skills in the discipline Y, of course, but also in AI. And that's a challenge for us. And probably the key point is not to imagine that the same man or same woman will have all the skills, but we need to develop cooperations between people coming from different fields. That's something we used to do in research. Most of the big challenges require collaborations with people from very, very different disciplines. If we look at the climate change challenge, you need people from a lot of disciplines, including people from humanities and social sciences. And so now for science, I think the big issue is for each discipline has to make an effort to understand how AI will impact this discipline. Some disciplines are used to do that. For instance, particle physics or astronomy, they produce huge amount of data, and so they use to use some kind of AI. But on other disciplines, the way AI will impact is still to discover, and we have already some ideas. Just to give you an example. Before AI, when you want a new material or a new drug, and then you define a new material or a new drug, and then you study the properties of this material. Now, thanks to AI, you will say, oh, I would like to have such a material or such a drug with such properties. And then AI will propose you some candidates with the highest number of probability that this new drug or this new material verifies these properties. So AI is not only a factor of acceleration. It forces us in some sense, or it opens new directions of new research. And that's why AI will have an impact, has already an impact on science, of course, but will have an impact. And I'm convinced that, in fact, we are, as somebody don't understand probably, we are at the very beginning era of AI, and not at the end. AI is just... we don't know what will be exactly the impact of AI in science, but in daily life. But it's also to us to decide what AI we want for the future, for the best, and not for the worst.
Certainly, and what I've understood also through this is that CNRS, you're both consuming AI, using it, but you're also producing it.
Yeah, we do both. In some sense, we produce AI thanks our mathematicians and computer scientists, because don't forget that AI is before all mathematics and computer science, but we also consume AI, as you said, and there is a very virtual loop between the two, because when you consume AI, it needs that you will probably, if you use AI for chemistry, probably chemists will ask for new algorithms, and the questions will be asked to producer of AI, so mathematicians and computer scientists. So there are very interesting virtual loops between different communities. And of course, in the loop, there are also people from humanities and social sciences in order to understand what we are ready to accept, what we are not ready to accept. And citizens, we are not always rational. Sometimes we accept things and sometimes we don't, without any precise reason for that. But it's precisely one of the big questions. All the questions about deontology, ethics of AI, or studies of research also in CNRS.
I want to come to that subject now, because we've talked about sort of like the roadmap, okay? But what I want to ask now are what are the indicators that you're looking at? What are the measures? What are the guardrails maybe that you are putting into place to make sure that we're going in the right direction? And are there any red flags that you're looking at out there? Elodie, how about yourself?
So we have different ways to track that we're going the right way. I would say the first one, we are checking that actually caseworkers are using case AI, are using our tool. So if they are using it, it's helpful for sure. But if they are not, that's a warning sign actually. Also, we have some indicators, impact indicators, such as the time saved, because the time saved, not doing paperwork, reports, etc., is to the benefit of the people supported. So when we see that there are X tasks that took 3 minutes instead of 30 minutes, that's a big impact. And finally, we get feedback from the caseworker on a regular basis to make sure that they are using our tool properly too, because we don't want them to go blind using AI. We want them to be conscious of the decisions they are making. So we want them also to rely on AI for the suggestions, but not for the decision making.
Okay, so adoption, but not kind of blind reliance, finding that balance between them. Thibault, how about for yourself? What are your guardrails and your ethics red flags?
So for us, it's two dimensions. The first one is just a number, 3,600. This is a number of GSK employees here in France. And we want all of them to be familiar with AI power tool in their daily life. So we are doing training, we are doing everything we can to really bring that to each and every one, even in the manufacturing sites everywhere. Very often I've got the question, but we will be replaced by AI. And my answer is no, you will not be replaced by AI, but you could be replaced by people using AI. So learn, know how it works, and don't be afraid. So that's really the first, I would say, dimension. The second one is, because we are working in health, and it's extremely important to protect and have privacy with the data, is making sure that we've got the right governance. So we have an AI governance board in London, but we have also an AI governance board in each and every country. And on top of that, our CEO, Emma Wamsley, she's working and an active member of the Center for Strategic International Studies, which is a global organism defining how to use AI, how to regulate AI, and how to make sure that we are doing the right things with AI. So we really take it very, very seriously. We don't want at all to have any suspicion, any risk on that one. So it's a very important topic for us, in terms of governance.
Okay, Antoine.
If I may, I think that for science, the red flag or the danger, the main danger is if we let AI standardize thinking in some sense. The most talented researchers are the most innovative, the most originals. So they don't have to let themselves driven by AI. They should be really aware to drive AI, which is of course not the same. And so if we let too much room to AI, then it will standardize thinking, and for science, it will really a nightmare.
That's very similar to what Elodie was just kind of saying, have to not become blind or to remain curious. But then at the CNRS, what are the measures and what are the indicators that you're looking at to see that that's indeed happening and you don't have people, sort of just relying on AI all the time, or that the progress that you're making into these new, unknown fields and areas is indeed taking us in the right direction?
Yeah, in fact, as we said, we don't know. But I think the key point for us is education. Clearly, education at all levels. Education also for researchers who are not specialists of AI, to help them to interact with specialists of AI. But I'm convinced that education to AI is absolutely crucial. We don't have to be afraid by AI, but on the converse, we have to be aware of the risk, as the dangers of AI, and it really requires to educate at all ages. And so that's for me really the key point. And even if CNRS is a research organization and not a teaching organization, we are convinced that to educate citizens, to educate politicians, to educate decision makers is absolutely crucial.
Okay, you're one of the largest organizations in the Europe, if not the world out there. Is collaboration also an indicator with different countries? Is that something that you're also looking at to see that you're progressing in the right direction?
Well, we really, it's complicated to measure quality of research by numbers. It would be easy, but it does not exist. If you consider a journalist, is it possible to measure the quality of a journalist by a number? I don't know. If you consider an actor, it's the same. But what we really want is that all discipline should take AI into consideration. No discipline can say, "Oh, AI is not for me." Outside of science is what some years ago the medicine and lawyers say, "Oh no, AI is not for us," and we see now that is not the case. So that's for us the key point, that all discipline should think to how AI can be an efficient tool to go further, to go faster, but also taking into account the energy consumed by AI. We had a small exchange on that, but it is clearly an issue, because the most powerful AI is also the AI we will until now consume the most. So there are a lot of research also devoted to make new algorithms which are able to learn on a smaller amount of data. Like our kids learn very fast. AI is much less efficient than a kid, so we study new algorithms in order to let AI learning on smaller sets of examples. That's all we try to do.
Well, in fact, our next guests are going to be talking about sort of like the consumption, not just from data, but also resources. We have a few more minutes left on this panel, and I want us to bring it right down to here, to this stage, okay? A few months ago, there was the AI Action Summit happening in this very venue, okay? We have on stage with us here 3 organizations, 3 speakers from Europe. I want to ask the question, how can Europe drive AI for the greater good, for our societies, for our communities, for our individuals? What do you believe are the strengths and the competences that we can and should be leaning into here in Europe? Thibault.
So for me, I think it's a no-brainer that AI for healthcare, it's essential. It's not a negotiation, and Europe really need to take advantage of it. We've got, as you may know, but 1/3 of all the data in the world are health data. And we've got in Europe tons of very, very good data on health. And we've got the chance of having a good regulation. You can see it as sometimes a negative way, but you can also see it as a very positive way because it's clean data with great privacy, it's well organized. But now we really need to invest on our data. We need to make it accessible. We need to really leverage it for concrete application. Today, all these data are sitting somewhere with no real use of the data. And for me, Europe as and our President Macron mentioned that, a couple of months ago at the AI summit, that we really need to accelerate the access to the data, organize the data in Europe and in France, and that could really make a big difference. And it's on the long term. So I'm really hopeful that if we invest, it's not too late, but we need to invest and take action now on how to best leverage all this data that we've got in the health system.
Okay, so the fact that we've got some great data, we've got some good regulation to protect ourselves with our data and lean into investment. Elodie, how about yourself? What are we going to need to do?
Yeah, in Europe, we have a legacy of strong public services and social protection. AI won't disrupt that, but it will improve it, actually. Base Impact has been working in this system for over 10 years. And what I see is that we have this European regulation, which is a strength and not a weakness, because it forces us to build a transparent AI, a transparent and accountable AI, and so that is trustworthy. So maybe we won't go as fast as in other countries. However, what we are building right now in Europe is completely transparent and trustworthy.
Okay, so the fact that we have strong services, social services already, and that we can build on that, but do it in a way that's transparent. As you say, maybe not so fast, but do it right. Antoine.
Well, several points. First of all, as I said at the very beginning, behind AI there are mathematics and computer science, and in Europe we have very strong education systems in this discipline. So we produce talents and we produce skills that we should use. The second point I would like to mention is the fact that if I look at CNRS, we create every year between 80 and 100 startups, and 6 of them are here. And about 30% of them use AI. They're not pure actors of AI, but it's AI in energy, AI in health, AI in transportation. I think that for Europe, it's really important to understand how they can apply AI in given fields. And the last point that I would like to mention is around values. We have in Europe some values which are not better or worse than the value in other parts of the world, but which are different. And so we have to pay attention to develop AI which correspond to our value. That's very important. And it's also like that people will accept AI. People, I think, will accept AI if this AI corresponds to our values. And once again, I don't say that our values are better than the others, but they are different in some aspects. And we have to pay attention to that, to not use an AI which is based on values which are different than ours.
So lean into those different values that we have, make sure that we're doing it well and with transparency going forward, and really sort of make sure we're using our data in the best possible ways and investing in that as well. Listening to these 3 different sectors, but very strong voices on the future of AI here in Europe certainly gives me hope for our future moving forwards. I want to thank you very much, Antoine from the CNRS, Elodie from Base Impact, and Thibault from GSK. Thank you very much to the 3 of you. Thank you.